Hi again. This is Wendy Down with your next and final recording here in the Consciousness Playground Future of Aging series. This is recording number 11, and it's the last one. It's called A New Future of Aging Has Arrived. And on this recording, I want to do two specific things. The first is I want to pull together this entire series to review the concepts that you and I have explored together so far. And secondly, we're going to ground all those concepts into a really wonderful real-world example of how aging is changing in a clear, demonstrated, observable way that bodes really well for your future and mine and opens us up to new possibilities that even just a few months ago we thought perhaps were just fantasy, but now there's very clear evidence for. To do that, it's going to be most useful for you if you can see the photo of a woman's face that is included either in the transcript of this recording or on the web page where you found this recording. And if you can, it would be wonderful if you could keep those two photos in front of you as you listen. In a moment, I'm going to describe what those pictures are and what they mean for you. But for now, in order to get the most out of this recording, settle back, just relax where you are, and if possible, have handy those two photos. I'm going to guide you to review really briefly the topic of each recording in this series that we've explored so far. And as I do that, I'll remind you what the topic of each one was and the exercise that you experienced with it. As we go, if there were some that you haven't listened to yet, don't let that faze you. Just kind of, listen and let it pass by. On the transcript of this recording number 11 is a link to every single one of those recordings. So later, if you want to go back and play any of them or listen to them again, you can always do that. So for now, just relax and take what I'm about to present for you, understanding that where you're at on this topic right now is absolutely fine. Let's turn our attention now to the two photos on the webpage of this New Future of Aging Has Arrived recording, number 11, and let me describe what those photos are. If you can see them, there's the photo of a lower half of a woman's face, and who this is a 62-year-old woman who walked into the New York clinic of my friend and fellow consciousness pioneer, Joseph Pierce Farrell. And Joseph, or JP, works purely with his own consciousness to rebuild tissue, heal injuries and disfigurements, and JP does cosmetic anti-aging work as well. I'll have a link to his webpage here if you want more information. But this woman, 62 years old, walked into JP's office the other day, and the photo on the top shows what she looked like when she walked in. So you can see, there's a few signs of aging there. There's some lines around the mouth, a little sagging of the neck. The skin has a slightly aged appearance. You would recognize her perhaps even as a young-looking 62-year-old. The photo, if you can see it underneath, is that same woman 3 hours later. You can see that she looks much younger. The skin tone is completely different. The neck is tight. The jawline is tight. The skin is smooth. And if you were independently to guess the age of that woman in the lower photo without knowing she's 62, I'm not sure what age you would guess. For me, I would guess probably somewhere in the 30s. So I just for a moment want you to take in the fact that in 2012, a 62-year-old woman walked into a clinic in New York and left 3 hours later looking significantly younger with no use of drugs, devices, procedures, creams, lotion, nothing other than pure consciousness, JP's awareness of the things that you and I have been working on and talking about throughout this entire Future of Aging series. Nothing other than JP's consciousness focused into the tissue of her skin for a period of time resulted in observable changes in her age or appearance. Now, regardless of your views on cosmetic procedures, actually, I would, if you can, set those aside. And if you prefer, think of this same type of observable change being able to happen with someone's kidney or lungs or heart, that someone could, through consciousness alone, seem to turn back the time and have kidney function that represents that of a person years younger, or joints that within only hours can feel and look like those of a person much younger. I know that many people have strong feelings about cosmetic procedures just to enhance appearance, but the skin really is the only human organ that we can see from the outside. So this example is an excellent one because it allows us to see observable change in human tissue, in a human organ, through use of consciousness alone. And this is absolutely remarkable. I'm actually going to New York in a couple of weeks to talk with JP, so who knows what might be on the horizon in terms of more programs or opportunities for anyone interested to learn how to do this same thing for other people or for ourselves. But basically what I want to say, what I know and what JP knows, is that this kind of change, observable, clear, real life change, is something that all of us have the capacity to access, and these type of results are within the realm of all of us. And throughout this entire series, what I've been deliberately doing is taking you to the places within yourself where these types of changes come from. We've challenged beliefs we have. We've played with accessing the timeless dimension within ourselves where we know that there's no real time and space. And we've blurred the boundaries between the exterior world and our interior world. And these are all the types of consciousness states that are required in order for a practitioner or one human being to be able to affect changes in the tissue and in the apparent age, the functional age of another human being. So for a reminder of that, for a refresher of that, for you to be able to immediately access and know that state that I'm talking about and the state within which JP sits, basically, in order to affect results like this, I want to have you keep these photos in front of you right now as I review the main topics of the past 10 recordings in this Future of Aging series, and then have you apply some of the insights from each of those recordings to this scenario, to what happened with this woman, to what it means for you, to how you feel about it, to the potential for you to experience similar results. So keep the photos in front of you, sit back, and listen. Recording number 1 was called Setting the Stage to Create a New Future of Aging. And on that recording, I led you to envision or imagine a future in which the very concept of age is absent. We looked at how much age, or the idea of age, influences our impressions of a person, how we relate to them, how it limits or opens us up to possibilities that exist for a person of a certain age. And so now let's apply that to this exact scenario. So take a look at the top picture, the woman with the slightly jowly jaw and lines, and just focusing on that, notice what thoughts or images come to mind in terms of how you perceive that woman. What occurs to you about what type of person she might be? Or what type of life she's led? Or what type of future, how much future is ahead for her? I'm really just asking you to get in touch with, if you can, as many of your immediate interpretations or judgments or assessments that you make of her when you look at her and know her age of 62. Next, take a look at the lower picture, the picture of the same woman 3 hours later. And to the best of your ability, try and focus just on this woman with this appearance, differentiating her from the one above. And ask yourself those same questions. Who is this woman? What's she like? What kind of potential exists for her in the future? Again, just try and notice what your own perceptions are in terms of how age and the reading of age on someone's face influences the way that you automatically think of or respond to them. And you might even actually notice that there are some changes in your perceptions of a 62-year-old woman now in comparison to what you might have thought or how you might have related to her before you began this Future of Aging series. So basically, recording number 1, Setting the Stage, was about just becoming aware of how age and the concept of age influences the way that we see ourselves and another person's potential. So I just asked you in that really brief exercise to apply that to this same woman only 3 hours apart. Let's move on then. In recording number 2, this was called Experience Non-Age. On that recording, I led you to experience the dimension within yourself where age is utterly irrelevant and you are timeless. And the concept of time is not part of the equation. We looked at how this dimension is ever present. It's actually one of the most fundamental characteristics of who you are. It's present even right now as you're listening to me. And on the recording, you experienced how living from this awareness, living from this place in yourself, changes your entire life. It changes every moment of your life. We also looked at how living from the now moment, that timeless place in yourself, leads to the accumulation of less age. And so right now, look at those photos again. And in the photos, can you see or sense or feel the presence that's unchanged? Between photo 1 and photo 2. It should be easy. There's a presence, a consciousness, a timeless dimension, a beingness that's completely unchanged, unaffected by any changes in this woman's body over time or personality over time. And this is true for you as well. So it's that presence, that timeless, eternal, changeless presence where age is utterly irrelevant. This is what we explored in the Future of Aging, recording number 2. In recording number 3, I introduced you to the 5-word mantra to be ageless for life. I said that there's a state of being with life, with the changingness of life, with the uncertainty of life. There's a way of being with life that allows you to tap into and experience agelessness. And the 5 words, the 5-word mantra that guides you to be ageless for life are the words, I'm at peace with that. I'm at peace with that. I'm at peace with what's happening in my moment, every moment. So let's apply that right now to what's happening with you when you look at these photos. Look at the photos and notice any response that's present for you. It might be even something like a feeling about this happening for this woman. It may be a feeling of happiness for her. It may be a conflicted feeling. It may be a feeling of not wanting to be duped. It may be a feeling of not wanting to get your hopes up. It may be a feeling of resentment or fear that something like this could happen for her and not for you. It could be something completely other than that. It may be a strong desire to be able to experience this or give it to others, but an anxiety that perhaps you could never do that or experience that. Whatever the response is that you're having to these photos and this woman, just notice it. Notice any feelings that are present in your body, any pressure, any tightness, any thoughts running through your mind. Simply recognize, yeah, that's what's here for me right now. And apply the 5-word mantra to be ageless for life, which is, I'm at peace with that. Maybe there are things that you don't know or understand. Things that are unsettled within you. And if that's the case, just say, I'm at peace with that. And let it be true. Moving on from there, in recording number 4, I led you through an exercise that was designed to give you much, much greater flexibility about how you experience your body. You blurred the boundaries between what you consider you and what you consider everything else. This recording was called Your Body, You, or Your Environment. And if you recall, you expanded your sense of yourself way out into the cosmos and you expanded the experience of the outer world right into the depths of you, so that there was no boundary between you and everything else. No definition, no dividing line between what's me and what's everything else. And that blurring of what you identify as your body set the stage to blur the definitions of what you experience and how you understand your age as well. And so let's apply that right now. So right now, as you're looking at those photos, it likely seems like you're here, wherever you are, and those photos and that woman's experience are over there. Maybe even right now you think of that woman in New York City, whoever she is, wherever she is, so utterly removed and distant from you. She's somewhere doing something, and you're where you are, completely separate. So to apply the exercise from recording number 4 to this situation right now, I want you to just quickly notice the space or distance or separation that seems to exist between you and that woman's life and experience, or between you and those photos. They all seem out there and you seem in here. And now, just like you did in the 4th recording called Your Body, You, or Your Environment, notice that sense of separation. Where is it that you end and everything else begins? Notice the sense of separation between you and that woman, or between you and those photos. And if you can, let that boundary dissolve until it seems like the photos exist within you. The thoughts of her situation exist within you, which they do. And the ideas you're having or awareness of her life exists within you, as they do. And for a moment, recognize that this experience that seems outside you, this object that seems outside you, this circumstance that seems outside you, is all happening inside you. It doesn't exist except through your interaction with it right now, just like this recording doesn't exist except through your interaction with it right now. And say to yourself, that's in my environment, and it's in me. That situation exists out there and in me. So again, you're blurring the boundaries between anything that's outside you and within you. This experience of reverse aging is happening inside you. Your consciousness has created this entire situation inside you. The whole reality of it exists inside you. And what appears to be an expression of it outside you is actually your energy expressed in the world in that form. You're a creator in this process, part of it, not separate from it. And that's what recording number 4 in this Future of Aging series gave you access to. That understanding that you're not separate from anything. You're not separate from any experience anyone else is having. It's all happening with you as an integral part of it. To continue on from there, in recording number 5, you discovered that you will never run out of future. There'll never be a time where you don't exist, because time exists in you rather than you existing in time. That recording was called Your Future, Today's Art Project. And if you recall, on that recording, by following my step-by-step instructions, you learned how to work purely in the quantum realm, using your energy to create art by shaping it into form. And so right now, let's see if there's a way to create new art of this experience you're having of this woman's photos and what you understand has happened for her in what seems to be a far-off place. Already, you may be noticing that within you, as we're talking, there's sort of energy moving very subtly. Your feelings may be very subtly changing. Your mood may be very subtly changing. And this is your unconsciousness, part of you that is so deep and rich and tied to everything that exists, expressing itself, bubbling up in a new form. And it's possible to turn your attention to those subtle or perhaps profound movements of energy within you and experience that flow of energy, that changing energy as art, without needing to collapse it into the types of forms with labels that our left brain likes to do. So for now, to apply concept of that recording number 5, Your Future, Today's Art Project, just for a moment, pay attention to what's happening in your mind, in your feelings, in your body, on a very subtle level. Just notice subtleties, what seems subtly different in this moment, and now in this moment. Just be still for a moment and pay attention to yourself in a more subtle and acute way than you may be used to doing. To move on, in the Future of Aging recording number 6, you learned the 3-word phrase for an ageless body. We looked at the types of phrases that our minds tend to use on our bodies without being aware that we're doing it. Hurtful phrases, distrustful phrases, phrases that express displeasure about our bodies, or fear about our bodies. And on that recording, I led you to dissolve or dismantle some of the patterns that exist within you that cause you to have that kind of relationship, distrustful, fearful relationship with your body. And then at the end of that recording, you learned that the 3-word phrase for an ageless body, which is meant to be spoken to your body and to which your body responds so beautifully, is the phrase, I trust you. I trust you. Do you remember when we worked on that in that recording? And what a beautiful environment the phrase, I trust you, creates for your body to be able to express the best in it and to have a new degree of connection to and communication with your body. I trust you. And so right now, again, if there are hopes for the future that the photos of this woman's face bring up in you, and you have conflicting feelings about those hopes. Right now, acknowledge to yourself those hopes and say to your body, I trust you. Your body's a partner, your partner in creating a new future for your own aging, a new future free of aging. And in this moment, acknowledge your body for the wisdom it has, the knowledge it has, the information it has, the abilities it has that far exceed your own conscious ability to know how to create outcomes that your mind has no ability to comprehend. So maybe just say quietly to your body, there are hopes I have for the future and the way that my body will look and feel and evolve in the future. And I trust you to be my partner in taking me there. In recording number 7, it was all about how to stop aging as we know aging to be. In that recording, you took another step away from everything we currently know to be real about aging. And you stepped into a brand new relationship to aging, the aging that's coming into expression and into form. You stepped into that emotionally, energetically, mentally, and biologically. And on that recording, if you heard it already, you discovered that this state of being, this new future, is already so real that while you were listening to that recording, you could feel the presence of that future on every level of your being, present. Not necessarily expressed for your eyes to see, but expressed within your body as a feeling so real, was right there, right then. And to me, it's really satisfying now as we end this Future of Aging series to have photos to show you that demonstrate that a new future of aging is here. It's arrived. You can't look at these two photos of the same woman's face taken 3 hours apart and not see evidence that aging is going to look different in the future. Right now, this may look as one woman or only a few people who have limited access to organs that don't age or reverse aging, to body tissue that releases its aging. Just like the skin in this woman's photos has released its aging and been restored to vital, vibrant, optimal health. This is the future we're moving into as more and more of us are willing to even conceive of the possibility and now are seeing clear evidence of it right in front of you, right there. So what you worked on in recording number 7, in accessing the field of the future within yourself, now look and see how it's expressed itself in visible external form. You can show those photos to anyone. They might not believe them, but you can show them. You can keep them in front of you and refer to them. Moving on, in recording number 8, which was called In the Future, Age Has No Past. In that recording, we accessed future you and had you look back at your present self through the eyes you'll have in the future. A little confusing there. But to review, at the moment, or maybe I should say in the past, our bodies have accumulated time because we've experienced them as objects moving through time and space, and therefore aging. But in the future we're entering, more and more of us will be very grounded in the understanding that the only time that exists is the now moment. And as a result of living so much more in the now, our bodies won't accumulate time. They'll express eternity rather than time. And so again, these photos are actually a fabulous way of reminding yourself of this. So imagine yourself being this woman. She's looking like the bottom photo today, the younger looking photo. And so the eyes that she has now, when she looks back, if she were able to do this today, at the photos of herself a few days ago, she would see an older self. Here's a woman looking in her 30s, feeling in her 30s, I presume, hopefully, that sees an older self. This is an exact demonstration of what you and I played with internally on recording number 8. To have the ability to access a future self where we feel younger, more ageless, and are able to look back at this present self, this present older self, as the past. These photos are just a clear demonstration of that. And again, I reference the fact that not only can this type of change and is this type of change happening with skin, which is observable, but also other organs, all the organs of the body that experience aging are and can be reversed in the same way that this woman's skin shows. So I just want to make sure that you're not limiting the idea of age to an aged appearance. All right, we're closing in on the end here. In recording number 9, which was called How to Drop a Decade in 3 Minutes Flat, I guided you to identify a situation in your life that still had some grip on you. It still felt like it had some unfinished business. And I showed you how to let that unfinished business or the baggage from the past drop away. And with that, you understood how the past remains in the present or has a charge to it. The past is really only created in the present. Let me say that now. That the energy of that situation you were feeling was an in-the-moment present energy. And as you let it, the past completely drifted away. And in fact, if you remember what scenario you worked with in that recording, you may now stop and see that, man, you just haven't thought about it, or it doesn't have the same presence, it seems more in the past than in the present. And so through that experience, you discovered the key to uncreating aspects of the past that age you. In other words, we accumulate age as a result of creating more and more past. And so by letting a piece of the past go, you brought yourself more into the now moment and gave yourself the ability to uncreate age. And now let me see if there's a way to apply these photos to that scenario. Let's do it this way. A few months ago, you swam in the sea of the idea of aging, the same as most of us on the planet, probably. It was the mindset you had. It was the point of view you shared and probably didn't ever question. And now, as a result of all the studying and thinking and energy work and exploring that you've done with me here over the past few months, you are in a different state of mind, a different way of thinking. You have a different perspective about aging. And so now when you think about the person you were in the past and what you thought about age or aging or what was inevitable, it probably already seems quite distant. In other words, you can see quite easily how much brighter the future really is and how much more hopeful you may be. You may notice ways that you feel physically better, emotionally better, more optimistic. You may notice ways your body has already changed. You may have come across many more scenarios where you see older people living much more vibrant lives than you did in the past. And so you already have let go of a piece of the past on the topic of aging that you're no longer bringing into the future. You've uncreated an aspect of the past, you're thinking, that was aging you. You see that? You no longer have the mindset, the belief systems that created one future of aging, because now you're living in a mindset that isn't creating as much aging or isn't expecting as much aging. And that's a wonderful thing. Finally, in recording number 10, you learned and experienced how to flex time and age in a new way. You were able to see your present self from a future where you're younger and less age aware. In other words, you experience the future now. And that's exactly what these photos demonstrate. Again, the idea of a person living a whole different future of aging than anything our parents could have conceived of or we could have conceived of even months or years ago has changed, and the photos in front of you are evidence of that. This woman is living a new future, unlike any future of aging that was even conceivable within recent years or months. And it's real, it's here, it's now. So, like recording number 10 showed us, you are now experiencing the future, a new future of aging. And that's why I'm closing up this series, this exploration, with this recording number 11 called A New Future of Aging Has Arrived. Because through our focus and attention, at least for me, it's here, it's real. It's not potential anymore, it's actually here. And I thank you so much for the part that you've played in listening to the recordings, responding, being an audience, and drawing these recordings out of me. I've enjoyed them no end, and I look forward to future topics that we'll take on together. So I'd love to hear anything that you have to say about what has happened for you through this series, and we'll be in touch. Bye for now.